And now, Matters of Conscience, hosted by the Very Reverend Eugene Pappas, educator, ecumenist, and activist in international social issues. Matters of Conscience is intended to cause our listening audience to consider and resolve issues of personal and collective faith and ethics facing the people and the nation.
Hello, New York. Hello, world. This is Father Eugene Pappas once again with Matters of Conscience on Cosmos FM. I know this is one of your favorite programs, and today we might go a little over because we have a wonderful subject that we have to delve into. I want to thank Nico, who got our lines open again. If you remember last week, we were talking about some sabotage here and that our lines were dropping as our callers were coming in. But once again, our lines are open. We're going to ask you to be calling us. Our number here is 718-204-8900. 718-204-8900. In view of the increased incidence of worldwide attacks on the innocent public and citizenry of many countries across the globe, and probably in particular the carnage and horror of the Russian schoolhouse hostage incident these last few days, can we admit now that the war on terrorism is not plainly an American platform issue for the November 2004 presidential election, but rather this is a pandemic menace to the continuation of civilized order? Once again, this incident that occurred in Russia this past couple of days with the hostage taking of 1,200 school children, teachers, and parents, and of course the cataclysmic death of probably 400 of those hostages. That's what's bothering us. Is this a global pandemic, or is it simply an American issue? The Russian response to the schoolhouse in the southern Russian town of Beslan in the state of North Ossetia may be considered by some critics as maybe too late and too much in view of the deaths of hundreds of children, teachers, and parents, and the traumatization of hundreds of others in the hostage count, which began with 400 and reached a total of 1,200 innocent people attending the opening of a school year in this small Russian town. Could the Russian authorities responded differently? I don't know. That's your question. What could American authorities have done differently? Do we as a city, New York City, do we as a nation, the United States of America, realize that what occurs across the seas, no matter how far and distant from our shores, it is only inevitable that we are on the same target page by al-Qaeda terrorists? Should America, should Russia join in a joint and united global front against the jihadists? Or should we engage the participation of other great powers, China, Japan, India, Pakistan? These are the questions we're asking today. Is what happened in Russia a Russian problem, or is it a worldwide civilized problem? The United Nations Security Council, the Vatican, likewise offered condemnations on these global attacks upon the innocent. But the pleas are falling on deaf ears of the Muslim al-Qaeda terrorists. Should there be more pressure? What type of pressure? On whom should it be applied to quell this maniacal storm of human carnage? Should the Muslim religious leadership worldwide be held accountable for this type of egregious insult to humanity and civilization? And to what extent should repercussion and punishment be applied? These are the many questions confronting us today as we are going to discuss these issues with your calls coming to us at 718-204-8900, 718-204-8900. My guest today is Sergey Grushchin, college professor at the ASA College of Advanced Technology. Mr. Grushchin, I'm going to call him Sergey, is from St. Petersburg, Russia, and we welcome you to our program, Sergey.
Thank you, Father Eugene. I would like to say hi to everybody listening to us right now. Hello, New York. Hello, world. Can I begin right now?
Well, I'm going to ask for some questions first from our listening audience if they want to call in. But then again, let's get into the whole question of what transpired in this small town of Beslan in northern Ossetia. Tell us your take on this, Sergey.
Well, first of all, I would like to convey my deep condolences to the relatives and friends of all deceased. I tell you the truth, yesterday I spoke with my grandmother. She's a school teacher. She still teaches at the elementary school, one of the elementary schools in St. Petersburg, Russia, and she was just shocked. She was crying. I spoke to her.
Because she identifies with what's happening.
Absolutely.
And my question is, Sergey, are we as Americans identifying with the tragedy in Russia? Because what happens there can happen here. Our schools open next week.
That's a very good point, and I don't really think here we heard enough coverage of this story, because we heard a lot of the presidential election, which is very important for the next term and everything. We heard about Hurricane Francis,
the storm
Hurricane
coming.
Charlie, yeah, but I don't really think it was enough to cover this thing, because, again, I think in today's world we are no longer isolated from each other. We have internet, we have telephones, we have faxes, we have radio waves. We should unite together, because these issues that they connect everybody.
They're global.
Yeah, they're global.
They're global.
Yes.
And once the American people realize this is not an American issue, it is a global civilized issue against a hidden and insidious enemy who has neither flag nor nation, but simply an erroneous belief. Let's get to Nico on line one. Nico, are you there?
Yes, to my homie from Sparta. How are you?
How are you? Nico, where are you calling from?
I'm from my car again, Father, and I like to...
Okay, Nico, you have to lower your car radio because we're getting reverberation here. And Nico, can you raise my volume a bit? I can't really hear myself too well. Now I'm hearing myself. Okay, Nico,
I did everything, Father.
Where are you calling from?
From my car, as always.
In Queens or Brooklyn or?
No, I'm in Madison Avenue and
Okay.
73rd Street.
New York City.
Father, it is said what happened was cowardly, heinous, vicious, barbaric, subhuman. When is the world going to learn? If we don't learn by now that those people have only one agenda, to enslave all of us, either by the sword or cut your head off, make you a Muslim. It's not that they hate the Jews only. They hate us, they hate the Hindus, they hate the Buddhists, they hate the Christians, they hate the whole world. And this is not a sign for us to wake up that we deserve what we're going to get. And I'm surprised it hasn't happened in our beautiful country here yet. Those are vicious cannibals, Father.
Well, Nico, let me ask you, do you think the Russians responded promptly and correctly to the situation of the hostages being held in that schoolhouse? Did they use the right method to secure the freedom of the hostages?
Every time, Father, you have a case like this, you're going to sacrifice, sadly to say this, some hostages. Otherwise, they would have been there for 6 months. How they were treating those poor little kids. They were forced to drink their own urine. They were forced to... My God, this is despicable, subhuman people that are doing this to innocent kids. I can see it doing to adult people, but those pure innocent kids.
Certainly, Nico, if they want to object to the world order, they should be objecting and combating if they have to, and they must, with certainly military types, political types, police types, but not with school children, not with the innocent and the infirm. And this certainly is a red mark on their page. But then again, we know we're not dealing with logic. These are people who are willing to destroy themselves in order to destroy the enemy. So where is the victory? I have no idea.
Excellent. Father, may I say only my last statement? And I'll
Yes. Go right ahead.
We have to learn and do something. God bless the super guy, Harry Truman, who knew that if I'm going to continue this war, I will lose 3, 4, 5 million people. God bless the guy who knew how to drop those 2 beautiful nuclear bombs and end the war. We cannot continue this way anymore, Father. We got to go and fight terror the same way they're fighting it. We've got to go and annihilate them, destroy them.
As President Bush said, we have to destroy them on their turf, not on ours. We don't want to bring the war here.
Bush is a super commander, a superhero, and I love him dearly. Father, It's a pleasure again to speak with you, my partner.
Thank you,
warrior.
Nico.
I'll see you next Saturday again.
Thank you. Let's listen
Thank
to
you, sir.
Sergey. Sergey, how would you like to respond to that?
Yes, well, I think the key word that Niga just pronounced was to learn. I think we should learn from each other, and we should unite as countries, as the whole world, and we should build something like an international agency fighting terrorism. Maybe not necessarily between Russia and the United States, maybe more countries involved, maybe it
Well,
could
I had
be,
mentioned that earlier, didn't I, Sergey?
Yeah,
I had
absolutely.
mentioned the fact that we could bring in China, Japan, India, Pakistan, and other countries that certainly have power.
Absolutely. My point was in regards to this learn theme. Maybe Russian authorities could bring in foreign specialists. Again, we have to stop this isolation. We have to be stopped isolated, to be isolated from each other. To bring foreign specialists, maybe to help them.
And to share information.
To share information, absolutely.
I mean, I don't think this should be simply an American issue or a Russian issue. We have to share our information, and where the Americans cannot go and defend, then the Russians should go and defend. And in places where Chinese or Japanese or Pakistanis or others who are reportedly our allies, they should also take on the mantle of protecting civilization. Let me just give our number out again. It's 718-204-8900. We're asking the question today with our guest, Sergey Grushchin, professor at ASA College of Advanced Technology. Sergey is from St. Petersburg, Russia, and he's here as our Russian expert. The question of the increased incidence of worldwide attacks on the innocent public, and that which we saw in Russia only in the last few days. What is America doing to prepare our schools and our hospitals and our theaters and our subways against this type of attack? Militants from Russia's Chechnya region are to blame for many of the devastating attacks in Russia, since troops were sent there 10 years ago to crush an insurgent drive for independence. More than 100 hostages died after the rebels tried to seize a hospital in southern Russia in June of 1995. 100 hospital patients died. 300 were killed when apartment building complexes in Moscow were bombed and citizens died in 1999. 129 hostages, many female, were killed in a Russian commando raid at the Moscow Theater in October of 2002. And once again, Sergei, we saw the commandos taking maybe too much force too late. And that was the introduction of gas into the theater, which unfortunately had killed many of those who were captive. Well, let's get to some of our speakers. The lines are lit up here. Our phone number here is 718-204-8900. You'll speak with me or Professor Sergey Grushchin from the College of Advanced Technology, St. Petersburg, Russia. Let's get to Victoria on line 1. Victoria, are you there?
Yes, Father. How
Victoria,
are you?
where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Lawrence, Long Island.
Good. Give us your opinion.
Well, Father, they are stating that the...
When you say they, who are they?
Well, the media is calling what happened in the school and the recent events with the 2 airplanes as Russia's 9/11. And I think that we should really be worried about their crumbling nuclear power plants that are not being taken care of.
The Russian nuclear
Yes.
power plants.
Yes.
And the Ukrainian
unguarded.
ones as well.
I beg your pardon?
The Ukrainian ones as well.
Oh, I would put everybody in that whole pot. And I think that the threat is even bigger than what we're looking at now.
Well, Victoria, what about our Indian Point nuclear plant?
Well,
That seems to stand there asking to be attacked, asking for a plane to ram it or for some truck to come along and explode next to it. I mean, the protection around the Indian Point nuclear plant is not very well secure either. I don't care what they're telling me, but this is a danger point for us right here in New York.
Oh, no, absolutely right. But I think that Europe is generated by more nuclear power plants than we are.
Granted, that's a good point.
Yes, and they have a lot more sites that are tactical for attack.
Do you think that the Russians use too much force too late?
I think that they're going to learn the lesson like we did.
Haven't they learned it yet?
Have they learned it yet? No. I think all of Europe is sleeping.
Sergey?
I really think that they're all sleeping, and they're all going to have their own little 9/11s, because these terrorists that are out there are stopped from being here for a while because of all the attention, and I think that they're just going to spread like a fungus among us.
Well, Victoria, I'm not going to dissuade you from your opinion, but certainly we had 3,000 deaths in our 9/11. In this case, there were far fewer deaths, but there were 1,200 children, parents, and teachers who were traumatized, 400 deaths. I don't want to do a balancing of the scales regarding numbers and deaths, but I think this is equal to a 9/11. This is equal to a 9/11.
Absolutely. That's why I'm saying I think that it's comparable to that. I mean, Russia is the towns that they picked over there were rural. They picked New York. But, you know, to a person in Russia, that's their New York.
Well, no, to a person in Russia, this is not their New York. But the fact is, it's a New York incident. It's a New York 9/11 for them.
Yes.
But these are cowards who were fighting.
Yes.
The terrorists are cowards, and they used the school. They used the opening school day with music and games and children playing, and the great joy of going back to school, if that's a joy. But certainly, no one was aware that in this sleepy little town of Beslan, this was going to happen. Thank you very much, Victoria. Let's get to Sergey, and I'm going to call on Andrea on line 2. Andreas?
Yeah.
Before you speak, Andrea, let's hear from Sergey.
Yes, I would like to comment on in regards to Victoria's statement. I would agree that Russia has to learn, but I would add that I agree again. I 100% agree that it was in a way 9/11 for Russia, but not in regards to the to the issue in general, but in regards to the technical aspects. Just like Father Eugene said earlier, Russia suffered from Chechen terrorists since I believe Father mentioned 1999, but since 1996, there were constant hostage takings. We have the whole list here. I don't really think we have enough time to list all of that. I would call more attention to the technical aspect of this operation, if you let me put it this way. This is a transitional period for Russia, for the whole country. The Soviet Union was rather strong, but since the country claims to be more or less free right now, again, it's a transitional period. It's been happening here maybe 200, 150 years ago in the United States. Everything is a bit disorganized, more corrupted than before. So we have to learn the lesson from the Russian point of view. But in regards to, again, being faster and maybe not to kill innocent kids. Because
well, the intention certainly was not to kill innocent children. The intention was to have a victory over the insurgents, and they did that, but at the expense of 400 people,
Absolutely.
Innocent parents. Andrea, are you there?
Yes, hello.
Andrea, where are you calling from?
From Manhattan.
Manhattan. Give us your opinion, please.
So first, of course, I want to express my outrage against the international Islamist terror network, because that's what we're talking about here.
Well, I should also mention that among the many, we're deluged here with information, but Andrea, in response to that, the Chechnyan terrorists, which numbered, they don't have an exact number, that's rather strange to me too, but certainly there were 30 plus who took over the school. Of the 30 plus, 17 who are now dead were Arab, from Arab nations. So they were not Russian Chechens, they were Arab al-Qaeda sympathizers who went there and are certainly supporting this insurgency and this terrorism.
Yes, absolutely. This is only one of the pieces of evidence that we have that this is not about the secession of Chechnya only. It's a part of the international Islamist jihad. There's no question about it, and there's plenty of evidence for that.
Andrea, do you see this as a global problem or as a world power problem?
It's a global problem, and it has been compounded by the ambivalent attitude that the West, especially Germany and the U.S., have kept towards Chechnya. In fact, there are Chechen terrorists that are wanted by Russia and by Interpol and that have been given political asylum in Germany.
Let's think about France. Look what's happening with France. France, who thought that they were sympathizers with the jihadists, and certainly because there were so many French Muslims. You know, the population of France now is 20% Muslim. They too are in a quarry because now 2 of their journalists are being held to be executed unless France declares that school children in France who are Muslim may wear their headgear, their veils and their caps. And so they're holding at ransom and at hostage 2 journalists. So France is not immune, although France thought that they would be immune from such activity. Once again, our number here is 718-204-8900. We're speaking with Andrea, and we're speaking with Sergey Grushchin, a college professor at the Advanced Technological School. Yes, Sergey.
Yes, I would like to add my comment in regards to Andrea's response. We were talking about 17 of the militants over there being Islamic or Muslim. I think, again, the main idea for the civilized world is to unite against them just because they are uniting, and it's another evidence that this operation was supported by let me just quote, "We in the Istanbuli brigades announce our responsibility for this operation which comes in support of Muslims of Chechnya," said the statement signed by the group, which was posted on one of the Islamist group websites, meaning this particular thing goes beyond just local. Again, it's another proof that it goes beyond.
It's not just a Chechnyan thing.
Yes,
it is Muslim solidarity. It is Muslim terrorist solidarity. Here we have Arabs in southern Russia. I mean, they got there with foreign passports, obviously. Andrea, I want to thank you for your call. We're going on to Lignila on line 3.
Yes, hello, Father Eugene.
Thank you. Can you lower your radio, please, so we can hear you clearly?
Okay.
Now we can hear you.
Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And Sergey, it's very nice to hear your voice, because I hear your voice almost every Sunday in church.
I have to shut your radio, Lignila, because we are getting a lot of reverberation here.
I'm just show
it. Yeah, shut it off, and this way you'll hear us clearly, and we'll hear you clearly.
Okay,
very good.
I would like to comment on coverage.
Yes.
I agree with Sergey regarding coverage about this event, what happened in Russia. Especially, I was shocked. Really, I was shocked by coverage on Russian radio because it was absolutely nothing, especially the first day when all this horror was happening in Russia. I was trying to catch something on 620 Russian radio, and it was jokes, songs, anything.
Russia was really blocking the news. You're saying Russia was blocking the news?
No, I don't think that Russia was blocking the news. I just think it was not enough coverage on Russian radio and Russian TV about this particular event.
Well, maybe they thought it would go away.
I was looking and looking, I was waiting and waiting, and all I heard is just songs and jokes, and I was really shocked. And all the information I could find, I found it on CNN. So that was something, you know.
How did you feel about the American networks, ABC, CBS, NBC?
They were covering sometimes, but most of the time I was able to find more information on CNN.
Well, I watch BBC, and I give them an A+. They did the best reporting on this incident. They covered it from top to bottom, and they were giving the international perspective of it, that this is not just a Chechnyan or a Russian problem. This is a world problem, and it's going to come to our shores or your shores or wherever you may be. It's coming into your neighborhood.
Because all our family, we were looking because we were...
What is the American-Russian community here saying?
Well, that's what I was trying to figure out. I was trying to hear from someone from the Russian community officials, and I had an impression they ignored it.
Sergey,
I would to tell you the truth. As a teacher, I would like to operate in our stated premises. My personal opinion is the following. I agree with Ludmila 100% again. Yesterday I had a chance to talk, actually I've met a couple of new people living here in New York for a long time. They haven't heard about this. Can you imagine this?
They are Russians?
They're watching, they're watching TV. They're watching Russian local RT and whatever, this TV station, and they were like surprised. I just mentioned this radio program. I just mentioned this August 31st, September 1st, September 2nd incident, and they were like, "What?" I mean, it
so
was
then
new to them.
you're corroborating with what Ludmila is saying, that the Russian community here in New York, the Russian news, the Russian TV, did not project this as a crisis issue.
Yes.
Well, that's a black eye for them. Let us go on. Ludmila, call us back if you like. We got to get to Theodore on line 1, but before we do that, this is WNYE, Cosmos FM 91.5.
This is WNYE, New York.
We're back again. This is Father Eugene Pappas. We're going to go to line 1 with Theodore. Theodore, are you there?
Yes, I am, Father. Thank you for...
Where are you calling from, Theodore?
Connecticut.
Connecticut. Tell us what your opinion is.
Well, I would like to, being a survivor of the Second World War and having been confronted with terrorism conducted by the Germans against the Greeks, where they took hostages and put them into churches such as Calabrita, and they rampaged Comeno. I like this to generalize anti-terrorism to include state condone and conducted terrorism, not only by minute people, but how can you include in your discussions terrorism conducted against, say, in Iraq by the United States and against the civilians in order to get a few people that they wanted to. Nobody's claiming that Saddam was anything. It's proven Saddam had nothing to do with the 9/11 here. No proof has been given. So how do you prevent such crimes, state-condoned crimes, which is a terrorism?
So what you're saying, Theodore, if I'm not incorrect, what you're saying is that America is also has a hand in terrorism against the Iraqi people. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir. This is what I call state-condoned and conducted terrorism.
Well, I don't necessarily agree with that, but that's not today's subject.
No, you don't have to,
no,
would you
no.
include your listeners to conduct?
Well, if they wish to call in, and speak about that, that's fine. We're talking about, we're talking about the insurgency, the jihadists, the worldwide, the global issue that is mushrooming now. And Sergey, why don't you respond?
Yes, well, I would like to tell you the truth. I would like to continue Ludmila's topic regarding statistics, the news. Most likely statistics, because nowadays you can read about events not only in your local newspaper or in your local magazine, maybe not necessarily listening to your local radio station. You can just go online. I'm not saying any website. We have a lot of search engines, official, British, American, Russian, Chinese, Japanese, you name it, and you may in a way trust their numbers. I think we may even need another radio program to talk about this, to talk about different mass media news agencies giving us completely different numbers. I mean, just like you said, Father Eugene, yesterday you mentioned, we just talked, if you remember, in regards to this program, you mentioned that 1,200 people, according to the New York Times, were involved in this
hostages. Yes, the beginning figure was 400, and then it became higher than that, and finally it reached 1,200 were hostages in the school building, children, parents, and teachers.
According to MSN.com website, there were 350 hostages in the beginning.
What is MSN?
MSN, that's Microsoft Corporation, Bill Gates, if you know what I mean. Yeah, monopoly over there as well. But let me just finish. A couple of Russian news agencies stated 400. Now we have the following figure, 262.
It could never have been 400 since 400 are dead.
Absolutely, absolutely. My point is maybe we should we should be involved in this network, sharing information without any secrets. It's just, what is it a secret or what?
It might be an embarrassment maybe to the Russian government. We don't know. The fact that they weren't able to contain this on a better level. Let's give our number out again. It's 718-204-8900, 718-204 204-8900. We're talking about the pandemic, insurgency all over the globe, the question of the jihadists, and this recent terrible debacle, which was the carnage in this school, this Russian schoolhouse, where hundreds are now dead, children in particular. Our number is 718-204-8900. We're talking to George on line 5. George, are you there?
Yes, likewise, Papa. It's George from Axios. How are you?
How are you? Good to talk to you today. Okay, give us your opinion, George.
I'm shocked by what's going on, but I'm seeing connections with other problems that's been going on for years with these jihadists and stuff. But, you know, what's going on in Afghanistan and what's going on with the Kurds, these people are fighting for freedom too. So I'm wondering myself, you know, Russia got rid of Afghanistan because of the problem of the terrorists, which they call themselves freedom fighters. I think Chechnya might be the same problem. Why does Russia keep holding this country, which it's only a white elephant?
George, let me first of all, George, it's not a country. It's not a country.
No,
it's part of. But listen to us carefully now. All right, but listen to the facts here, George. Chechnya is part of the Russian land mass. It's like Florida. It's like Texas. It's part of the borders of the Russian nation. Well, let me finish, George. You're not listening. You should be a better listener. You should understand that Chechnya is to Russia what Texas and Oklahoma is to the United States. It's the oil reserves of Russia. It is the oil fields of Russia. Hence, well, of course.
They're not going to give it up.
Why should they give it up? It belongs to them. Sergey, help me out. George, do more listening.
No, I am listening.
Okay, listen. George, we have a professional here who's going to answer to you.
Well, George, we respect we respect your opinion, of course, but don't forget that we respect your opinion, but don't forget that Chechnya was officially part of the Russian Empire since 1859. We may use this local American example here. You remember the Civil War, Confederates? I mean, should we give it back to them right now? I don't really think.
They have their freedom. They have their freedom. They have a locally official elected government. And the reason why they killed their president, the Chechnyans killed their own president this past May, was they said he was put there by the president of Russia. Well, he wasn't put there. He was elected by the Chechnyan people.
I know. So they probably saw something different coming up. You know, we elect things and then we create.
Well, we're talking.
We find out we elected monsters, just like George Bush. Look what he's getting.
Now you're going on a tangent, George. So I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you very much, George. Let's get on to Siluz on line 2. Siluz on line 2.
Yeah, that's me. Right.
What is your? Is it Siluz?
Firuz, F-I-R-U-Z, right?
F-I-R-U-Z. Firuz.
Right.
Where are you from, Firuz?
I am from the part of Russia, Uzbekistan.
Uzbekistan.
Right, exactly.
So you are in Uzbeki.
Right, I am Uzbekistan.
Where are you calling from right now?
Okay, I'm calling from Queens.
Okay, give us your opinion.
Okay, my opinion is the situation which was yesterday, it was horrible, impossible. Okay, and I am Muslim myself. Okay, brother, and I say. Those people who try to say they are Muslims, they are doing jihad in this way, and I want to tell that this is not the jihad. This is not the true jihad which they are doing, okay? Which they call in as a
holy war.
Excuse me?
Holy war, jihad, holy war.
Yeah, it's a holy war, but holy war doesn't make in this way, you know, killing innocent people, children, you know.
So you're very much against this, then?
Excuse me?
You're very much against this.
Of course, I am against it because in the Islamic law, in the Sharia, in the jihad, in the law of jihad, we don't have such a thing to kill innocent people at the time of jihad.
But do you realize, Firuz, do you realize what an injustice they are doing to your religion, which is one of the major religions of the world? 1 billion Muslims in the world. They are tainting your religion with so much venom. And that is why we're asking, America has been asking, the world has been asking for the Muslim leadership, religious leadership, to speak out and to stop this.
Of course, but this is not the way of jihad. You know, in the Sharia, in the Islamic law, jihad has its own rule. Okay, even in the enemy, when he has sword in his hand and he's standing, you don't have to attack him. Unless if he attacks you, then you have to fight him back.
Well, I don't think these children were attacking anybody.
Exactly right.
And they had no swords in their hand.
Of course, about 3 terror attacks in Russia. I see. That's horrible, brother. That's animality, you know. That's
Let me, Firuz, I'm so happy that you called us today because we don't get too many calls from Muslims, I must admit. But we might bring into view an article that was in the New York News that Police Commissioner Raymond Kelly of New York reported that NYPD had not received even one call from an American Muslim about suspicious behavior by any of his religious brethren. Now, what this is trying to state in the New York News is that the New York Police Department is not getting the cooperation from the New York Muslim American community, whether they be Pakistanis or Albanians or Turks or whatever they may be, that no one's calling in from the Islamic community to say, I think suspicion is here. I hear things in the mosque here. I see groups meeting here. I'm reading this literature here. At least to help us to rout out these people who are destroying the very image of your faith.
Of course, but I have no idea about that. But I see that as a horrible thing because it is not in my religion. It is not in Islam. Because
it is not.
In Islam, right. People used to live, the Christian and the Jew and other people, they used to live in peace in Islamic State. For example, up to now in Egypt, in Islamic State, I think there are more than 1 million Christians, and there is no fight, nothing over there.
There are many more millions of Christians in Egypt and in Syria and in Iraq.
No conflict, right?
Yes.
No conflict, you know, so there is no discrimination, no conflict, you know, where we live in peace, but...
What is your solution, Firuz?
My solution is these terrorist people are not the Muslims, not the really good Muslims, brother, okay? Because good Muslims doesn't make jihad in this way. First of all, jihad doesn't make in the country of Russia. Jihad will make in the land of Islamic State, where someone wants to attack Islamic State.
Okay. Thank you, Firuz. I'm going to have Sergey respond to you if he wishes, then we're going on to our next speaker. Go on.
Yes, thank you, Firuz, for your comments. I think we should distinguish, first of all, between good Muslims or good Muslim people and bad Muslim people. We have a couple of facts here regarding your native country. You mentioned Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan. Again, I will not go deep into these details, but during March of the year 2004, last March, this March, whatever you call it, we had so many incidents in Tashkent, that's the capital of Uzbekistan, and Bukhara region. Well, basically, let me put it this way. Officials were attacked by unknown terrorists with handmade grenades, detonated systems, whatever, and nobody claimed responsibility for this. And again, my question is, should we first of all talk about local conflicts in regards to this Muslim thing? I mean, since you're coming from Uzbekistan.
I want to thank you. Let's get on to Ludmila on line 1. Ludmila on line 1. Our number here is 718-204-8900. 718-204-8900. We're speaking about the atrocities that just occurred in Russia at the schoolhouse hostage incident and whether too much force was used and too late to save the many children who were killed and parents and teachers, the innocents on that particular scene. Ludmila, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Ludmila, give us your opinion.
I'm coming back again.
Okay, good.
I would like to raise the subject regarding safety in our public schools. Well, I'm a teacher in a public school, and I'd like to tell you that since September 11th, we did not receive any specific instructions in the event of terrorist attack or bomb explosion, and I'm afraid, knowing the Board of Education system for many years, that not too much going to happen in September.
So you're saying as a New York teacher, you have not gotten any direction in the case of a hostage taking or a bomb, a threat, or some sort of incident in the school?
No.
Nothing written, no communique, no protocol issue?
Absolutely nothing.
Okay.
And I think it's very, very wrong, and we have to do something about
Well,
it.
maybe this will be a wake-up because this is WNYE. This is the educational station of the New York Department of Education. Maybe they'll respond to this, and I hope so, Ludmila, for your sake and for the sake of the countless tens of thousands of children going to our schools next week.
Well, definitely we have to do something about it.
Thank you, Ludmila. Sergey, did you want to?
No, I was gonna say that Ludmila just proves your initial point, your initial response that we should be aware of this since the school year here starts a little bit later than in Russia.
Well, we have a one week heads up.
Absolutely.
Let's get to Boris on line 5. Boris, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Where are you calling from, Boris?
Okay, I'm calling from New Jersey.
New Jersey. Okay, give us your opinion, Boris.
You know, I have to get back to the question which was raised by George just a couple of minutes before. And this is very important to understand that the so-called separatist issue was the issue several years ago. But since then, everything is changed very dramatically because these so-called separatists, now they're so marginalized that mostly they have financing from Islamists from abroad.
Well, Boris, we gave you the incident earlier, with the fact earlier that of the 30 insurgents who had taken over the school, at least 17 were of Arab extraction coming from the Middle East. They were not Chechen. So there you have the solidarity, a universal solidarity of terrorists who are seeing themselves as brothers of Islam, looking for a militant takeover of the world order.
Yes, I'm trying to emphasize that not just only in a level of organization and training, everything is now under the control of international Islamists. They have the most of their financing from abroad, because before that, then they have more or less power within the Chechnya. They have had funding from their, they doing something with oil, you know.
Of course.
Yeah, but now all of their financing and so all of their policies is very much in line with international Islamist coordination, which is you have to have in mind when you're talking about so-called the right to be like on their own. There is no such thing as their own, because the general idea is to have all Caucasus in the control of pan-Islamic rule. That's why the West kind of don't mind to their business back in Russia and saying, you know, we are not looking for that.
Boris, what part of Russia are you from?
I'm from Moscow.
Oh, you're from Moscow, so you're a Muscovite. I'm going to ask Sergey. Sergey, Boris was mentioning about the whole Caucasus region being in a pan-Islamic shield, if you will. What do you think of this, and is this part of their separatist ideology?
Well, I don't really. I wouldn't agree. We should take a look at the numbers here. And well, Chechnya is dominated by Muslims. That's of course. But all the neighboring republics, they're Christians. They are Christian in nature, in religion. Armenia, Georgia.
No. I'm talking about North Caucasus, obviously. And you know that's why, by the way, these terrorists choose North Ossetia, because this is the only republic within Russia which is, as you said, mostly by Christian popularity. But all this northern part of the neighboring small republics within Russia, all of them are mostly Muslims. And their idea to create pan-Islamic states, that's why Russia cannot allow the Chechnya to go away, because what would be only first step in this direction.
Okay, Boris, you're going to Sergey answer Boris, and then we'll go on to our next speaker as well.
Well, to tell you the truth, I think we start to argue. We may start arguing about this because, as far as I know, Northern Ossetia. Well, again, Boris just said it. Majority is Christian. No. This is not This is not the matter of geography. In 1991, southern part of Ossetia has voted to be join the Republic of Georgia, which is, do they have any Muslim people there?
No, it's mostly Orthodox.
Christian.
Georgian Orthodox, yes.
So,
99%.
Yeah, I don't really think
Let's go to Nondas. Nondas on line 2. Nondas, are you there?
Yes.
Where are you calling from, Nondas?
Long Island City.
Long Island City. Give us your opinion.
What is another name for terrorist? A good name.
What is another what?
Another
name.
For what?
For terrorism. Terrorist.
Insurgents?
No. Freedom fighters.
Oh, please.
Who did that? Who created them?
Who did? You tell me.
You know that.
Well, if I did, I'd answer you, but you tell me, Nondas.
They don't create by the Reagan?
By Reagan?
Reagan administration.
The Reagan administration created the insurgencies.
Against Central Russia, Chechnya, etc., against the communism?
You're taking a whole different tangent on this, my dear friend Nonda.
I
We're
don't,
talking.
but I say
The question today, Nonda, listen carefully. The question today is this a global issue? Is it an American issue? Is it a worldwide issue? How are we going to respond to it? Do we have to wait till it comes into our own neighborhood to say, oh my God, they're here. They're already here. Can we contain them, Nonda? Let's get to Lewis on line 4.
I'll give you the answer.
Okay, give me the answer quickly.
If the Cypriots terrorist Turkish for occupation, for the freedom, they call terrorism them?
The Turkish Cypriots are terrorists?
No, the Greek Cypriots. You're going to fight by the same way a terrorist does against the Turkish. Are a terrorist?
I don't catch that at all. I'm sorry. Nonda, we'll have to have another discussion. Let's get on to Louis on line 4. Louis, you're on line 4. Let me get my number out again. It's 718-204-8900, 718-204-8900. We're having a hot discussion today on the question of pandemic insurgency, the Al-Qaeda terrorists throughout the globe causing carnage on the civilian population, especially what happened in Russia in the past couple of days with the death of 400 children, parents, and teachers. Louis, on line 4, where are you calling from?
New Jersey.
New Jersey, where about? Louis, are you there? Did we lose Louis? I think we just lost Louis. Anyway, Sergey, give us your take on this.
Well, maybe...
Let's get the number again. 718-204-8900. 718-204-8900. We'd like to hear from Louis. We lost you on the line. And Firuz, our friend from Uzbekistan, if you want to call us back, we'd like to hear you. Okay.
Well, maybe we could get back to the core of the problem. I'm referring to the local conflict that just happened in the city of Beslan, northern Ossetia. Maybe we could talk a little bit about specific details. First, let me just list the reported demands. Let's just find out what those terrorists really wanted. The first demand, number 1, was a release of fighters from Ingushetia prisons. Ingushetia is one of the neighboring autonomous republics
in southern Russia.
And Chechen militants, former Chechen militants, present prisoners, they were kept there. B, number 2, withdrawal of Russian troops from Chechnya. Which is, again, we already covered this topic. Chechnya is part of Russia, just like Texas here in the United States. And C, negotiations with top regional officials. Maybe we could talk a little bit how efficiently their demands were satisfied by the Russian authorities. Personally, I don't really think it happened. Maybe one of the main problems was that most of the Russian official security agencies and most of the Russian airports, train stations, ports, seaports, internal, regional river ports, they are private contractors. What do you expect from private contractors?
Who are not uniformed government agents.
Absolutely.
Right. Let us mention the fact that Russia's defense minister has said, and this is a quote, "War has been declared on us, where the enemy is unseen and there is no front." So Russia is declaring a war on terrorism. The defense minister has said so. And that is the war that has been declared on the world. And someday this darkly menaced community of nations will stand shoulder to shoulder on battlefield Earth to destroy those who wage war against us. Let us get to Louis on line 3. Let's get line 3 first.
Hi, how you doing?
You'll have to lower your radio and let's get talking. Where are you calling from, Louis?
I'm actually calling on the road. I'm on my way home from. I'm a naval reservist, and I just did a couple of reserve drills this weekend.
Okay, good. Naval Reserve officer.
How you doing?
Very good. Tell us your opinion.
This is the first time I hear you guys. So first, I want to say congratulations. It's a great show.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
The things that, I agree. We need people to realize we're not fighting Muslims. We're fighting fascists. It's the same monster we fought under the Nazi flag and the extreme communism flag, but it's just got another face to it.
This is fanaticism, but it's fanaticism under the banner of a religious cause.
Exactly.
And that is what causes it even greater horror to say that they are doing this in the name of God, whatever God that may be.
Yeah, it's crazy to people to call them even freedom fighters and all that because they don't represent maybe the real Muslims. I've been in the Gulf many times. I was there in '91. I was there in '98, and I had spoken to real Muslims, and a lot of people were disgusted with some of the tactics that these people were using. And,
well, because it embarrasses them and embarrasses their religion as well.
Exactly. And what maybe even needs to happen is, so that, like you said, the world to finally realize that we're fighting a totally different enemy that is bound on destroying everybody.
Well, it's what we call the unseen warfare, which in church terms is called demonic and satanic, because it's not a flag, it's not a nation, it's insidious. You never know where it will raise its head. So, Louis, I want to ask God to protect you in your continued naval work, and certainly in the Gulf where you've served, and listen to us more often and come back on the line with us.
Yeah, no problem. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you. Let's get to Aphrodite on line 1. Aphrodite.
Yes, hi.
Where are you calling from, Aphrodite?
I'm calling from Long Island, but I teach in Queens.
Okay.
I'm also a New York City public school teacher, and I just wanted to reassure parents that we do have emergency plans in place. There are certain passwords. There are evacuation plans.
Well, that's good to know.
Security in all the buildings.
I hope Ludmila is listening.
I hope so, because she really needs to speak to her region and to her principal, because we go through evacuation drills, we go through shelter drills all the time. Once a month they're done in the buildings. The regions come through with plans for us. We have our own.
What's your personal take, Aphrodite, on what happened in the Soviet Union, or rather in Russia, in the hostage-taking of the school?
It was awful. I think children should never be involved in anything like this. That's our future. Those are our truly innocents.
You realize that most of them were Orthodox Christians.
I do.
Not that there's a difference, but these were Orthodox Christian children who were killed. And so we have an even greater empathy for them, not because of their religion, but an identity with them.
Because of an identity with them, and all children in general should be guaranteed a free life.
They are the innocent of the world.
They are truly the innocent of the world.
Thank you, Aphrodite. We're going to go on to Lazos on line 2 because we're winding down to the hour. Lazos on line 2. That's our last call, I think.
It's Blazo.
Blazo.
I'd like to throw a light on the Albanian insurgency in the Republic of Macedonia, which is financed by Al-Qaeda and drug trafficking in the Balkans.
You are Serbian? Are you Serbian?
No, I'm Macedonian.
A Macedonian, okay.
Yeah.
Are you a Christian?
Yes, I'm a Christian. I'm Orthodox Christian.
Yes. And you feel that even in your country, in your area, the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia, even in that area you have Al-Qaeda insurgency?
Yes. In the year 2000, we encountered a mujahideen that were fighting for the Albanians as a mercenary, and they were Pakistanis. And
in your area?
Yes. Yes, this is a fact, and this is a public knowledge. It was in newspapers, and it was on the Internet.
Well, I think the whole world realizes that the insurgency is all over the world, and that we're finding Arab-speaking and Arab-type terrorists in places you'd never suspect. And you wonder, well, what are they doing there? Well, you know what they're there for, and now is a time to do more cooperative action on part of the international community. Blazos, thank you very much for calling us and giving us that insight into your particular part of the world. Sergey, we could go on for another 2 hours, but time is running out. Give us your wind-up commentary.
Yeah, I would like to wrap it up in the following manner. I guess you just mentioned two key words, cooperative action, and I think we have a good start here. Again, I regret the kid slaughter here, but We have a positive response, I think, from the White House because spokesman Scott McClellan just said that no cause ever justifies terrorism and that these attacks will only strengthen the U.S.-Russian partnership. That's number one. Number two, the United Nations Security Council, again, called on all countries to actively cooperate with the Russian government to stop terrorism. It's a global issue. We should just let the inflow and outflow of information just to flow.
Yes,
freely.
and I would hope that this is an international clarion to all peoples that we are fighting a universal enemy. He doesn't. This enemy doesn't look at you as a Jew, as a Christian, as a Buddhist, as a Hindu adherent, or as a capitalist or a communist or what have you. You are simply non-Muslim as far as they're concerned, and therefore you are the infidel. You are the enemy, and they are under the banner and the guise of a religious jihad. This is not religious at all. I want to thank Nico for holding the calls for us. It was rather traumatic today. We had so many calls coming through. I want to thank my dear friend, Professor Grushchin, Sergey Grushchin from the ASA College of Advanced Technology from St. Petersburg, Russia, who is here today to give us the Russian voice. This is Father Eugene Pappas once again saying to the world, goodbye New York, goodbye world, till next week. Thank you, Sergey.
Thank you.
Спасибо большое. До свидания.
До свидания.
До свидания.
You have been listening to Matters of Conscience, hosted by the Very Reverend Father Eugene Pappas.